Hey there, I'm going to walk you through a little bit about how to set up Smart Suites. I'm going to warn you now, it's really hard to mimic everything considering I won't have students signed in. So I'm going to ask you to reach out to your technology integration specialist to help you if you get stuck. Or you can email me if you get stuck because it's a lot harder to mimic Smart Suites than it was for Smart Labs. So as you know, Smart Suites is the online version that's cloud-based so that students can access it anytime. Well, how do teachers access it? The way teachers access it is you go to suite.smarttech.com. You don't need to go to lessons. And when you get there, you're going to have a home button. You'll sign in with your Microsoft account, just like you did for your Smart Lab. Your code, your class code is the same exact one you'll have in Smart Lab. It's not different. In fact, you'll find that the minute you start using Smart, the minute you start signing into your account with your Smart Board, anything you do on your Smart Board will suddenly appear also here in your Smart Suites. So last week I used a mystery Skype with just regular Smart Notebook, and it appears now in my Smart Suites so that I could utilize it as well. As you learned in the video, and it was quickly, one way to start to edit or utilize your current notebook is you can click on here and hit edit. You can also click on this green button here and it'll say, do you want to start with a file you already have? It could be a Smart Notebook, a PDF, or a PowerPoint. Do you just want to do a quick activity or do you want to just do a quick assessment? If you're just looking to do an activity and assessment, I really would just stick with your regular Smart Notebook and use your Smart Lab because they're in there as well. The reason why you would want to use Smart Suites is because this is the platform that allows you to take your Smart Notebook to the next level. So while we can still do the engaging activities and the games, we can also now take some of our Smart Notebook pages and make them into individual handouts for all students that automatically go to their devices. Or you can make a page collaborative and it will automatically assign their groups and you'll be able to turn that over to them as well. The other reason why I really do like Smart Suites is it truly allows for personalized learning, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. So I'm going to pull up something that I've already used before, and it's called thermometers. I took the current third grade Smart Notebook that was in our Calvert County Public Schools curriculum, and I took some things out that I didn't want. I kept things that I did want, and then I added some things to it. I will say that I have found it to be much easier to build my foundation in Smart Notebook because editing in Smart Suites is a little bit challenging. So I added already a shout out, and the question simply was, tell me how you can use a thermometer. And then as the teacher, I'm going to go through these kind of activities. What I want to show you though is now that I have this activity done, I'm going to show you what it looks like in the Suites version. You'll already notice that it looks different because this portion will always show when you have it on your smartboard. This part right here is going to show you how many students have connected. Again, I can't mimic that because I don't have students necessarily connected. This will remind students where to go to join, and this will remind them of your course code. Once students sign in once, they'll never have to sign in to using your number again. It'll come up, do you want to join so-and-so's class? This is the portion right here I want to show your attention to. This is what I love about Smart Suite. This allows me to move back and forth between teacher paced and student paced. If I'm using teacher paced, the students' devices will show only when I change the page. When I change the page, theirs will change the page. If I change it to student-paced, say for example, I've done an introductory lesson and I want to go work with a group of students, but I really want them to continue to move through the Smart Notebook. I don't need to stand and deliver it. I'm going to turn it over to student, and now they have the opportunity personally to move through the pages all on their own. So that's one of the advantages of Learning Suites. Up until now, the Smart Notebook were stagnant, meaning that they could only be operated by the teacher. Up until Smart Lab came along, they were only able to be displayed on the board. Now this takes the best of everything and puts it together. So when a teacher's doing a lesson, when we hit that point where I no longer need to stand and deliver, I turn their learning over to the student and they can move through the pages. When I want to bring them all back together, I turn the pacing over to students and I control what they see. The next thing I want to just bring your attention to is as we go through these pages, stand and deliver, I'm going to talk. This is a page where I'm like, you know what? I really would like all of the students to fill this out. I don't want it to be whole groups in front of the board. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my home button. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit edit. I will find my page 5. And now I can convert this activity. I can either make it an individual handout, which was what I'd like to do, or I can make it a collaboration space where they can work together. I'm going to make it an individual handout. So I click that, and that means now when I tell it to, or if it's on student self-paced, then when they hit that page, they're going to go ahead and this page will appear and they'll be able to use the inking tools to circle their answers. When I'm done previewing the activity, I can click there. So again, when I'm done finishing editing, I click Finish Edit. And so when I hit Start on this, you're going to notice it's going to be the same exact thing. It's very easy. I didn't lose anything. It's cloud-based, so it's automatically saved. I still have my shout out in there from Smart Lab. I'm going to directly teach. I'm going to directly talk. This is group effort. Now all of a sudden, I want everybody to go ahead and do this on their own. I will click Start, and it'll turn theirs into something that they can edit. The minute I turn the page, their time is up. This was something that we can build in as a whole group as well. Built this in, moving it around. But again, if I want this to be a collaborative space, for example, I'm going to go ahead and go back to home. I'm going to hit edit. And remember, I built all this in Notebook. I found it much easier to do because it's just really challenging to do in this setting. So I go ahead and click Convert. This time, I'm going to make it a group page. Now, when students sign in and we hit this group page, their names will populate, and then I'll be able, and it'll automatically put them into groups like you saw in that video, where their workspace becomes collaborative. They don't have to be sitting next to one another. They can be if they want. I would encourage that, especially for the younger grades, but they don't even have to be sitting together. The one thing you'll want to be careful about is if you don't have them sitting next to one another, one child might move one box into a place and then the next person moves it out. So you want to make sure that you're good to go with that. So if I'm moving it here and Susie's 2 places away from me and she moves it here, we need to have that collaborative discussion. So the idea is that they all can work on it together. Collaboratively. And again, remember, as the teacher, when I'm done with what I have for finishing editing it, when I go in to hit Start, when I hit that page, then I'll hit Start and it'll automatically put kids into the groups, and then they'll be able to work on it together. As the teacher, I'll be able to tap their group work. I can bring it up to small up to the smartboard if I'd like, or I can look on it on my own personal computer if I'm logged in using that. In addition to that, if you have students that you want to come up and make a presentation, they can do that as well. So as I move through this, again, this is teacher directed, and then I have a monster quiz activity in here again, another activity just like you do with your Smart Lab. Say, for example, I decide that I do want to go ahead and put a quiz in here of some sort, a response. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I can hit edit. But if I don't want to do that, I can click this plus button and I can add a blank page. I can add a blank page, or I can click the plus button and I can add a shout out if I'd like to just check in and see where students are. If I want to add an actual response, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. And this time, when I hit my plus, I can add a Smart Lab activity or I can add an assessment. And when I add the assessment, I can pick any of these kinds of things. So remember that what you can add when you want it, it's quick to edit. It's all live. You can edit it and have the kids have it ready to go for the kids in just a matter of minutes or less. When you're in, excuse me, when you're actually in the notebook, you can add at least pages and you can add shout outs. So to recap, my suggestion is build your frame or the bulk of it in your notebook. This is where you'll have kids sign in. This is so that it's teacher directed. This is where I turn the pages and everything will change for the students. If I do student directive, that's where I can let go and they can move through their own pacing. As I go through this, I can have individual handouts. I click start and everybody gets to start working on it. The minute I change the page, then their time's up. If I have it turned over to them, when they're done with the page on their own, they can go to their next one. Again, teacher controls these components. So it is a little more challenging for me to show you everything in here because I can't mimic having all of the students engaged or signed in. But I highly encourage you to play with it, try it, take a risk. As always, you can email me, Chris Guthrie, or GuthrieK @Calvert.net, or reach out to your technology integration specialist.